tuning in for the first time, Images and Voices is that program that talks everything disability. We bring disability awareness to you. Today in the studio, it's a bit full in the house today. I have with me Wisdom Ege Esquire. Wisdom, welcome to Images and Voices.
Thank you, presenter. Good afternoon, listeners.
I have Barbara Obi. Barbara, welcome to Images and Voices.
Thank you.
And Sirius in the studio as well.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
All right. Today promises to be super exciting. I guess the subject we'll be discussing today will be one that I feel many persons would. It's a conversation many persons would love to be part of. It's a recent concept that is becoming a global phenomenon now. I even learned people are going for some sort of training for it. It's called virtual work. It's usually, a lot of persons with disability are super excited about it, particularly in most developed clients. I don't know if it's a thing here in Nigeria yet, but I know during the COVID era, it became a thing. I think it came to limelight during the COVID-19 era, and a lot of persons with disability benefited from that concept. We're going to be having a conversation about that today, so stick around and join us on this very exciting edition of Hitches and Voices. My name is Kingsley Okoje, and don't forget, Hitches and Voices is coming to you courtesy of Network for the Advancement of People with Visible Disability, NAVID. NAVID is a non-governmental organization that's here in Nigeria that is advancing the rights of persons with disability. Yeah, so like I said, the subject is virtual work. Barbara, break it down for us. What does that mean?
Okay, so virtual work is the practice of performing tasks from a remote location that might not be the traditional workspace, and it's facilitated using digital tools to collaborate with team members. And this type of work is driven by technological advancements and the need for flexibility.
So, technology is key in this conversation, right?
Definitely.
Without technology, virtual work will become impossible. I think we also have what we call virtual meetings. For those who like to hold physical meetings, the COVID-19 also introduced that. COVID-19 pandemic also introduced virtual meetings where people don't have to meet physically, but they can hold their meetings virtually. But what really brought about this subject, I was listening to Elon Musk, and he vehemently opposed the whole concept of virtual work, saying it's not fair to certain workers who would have to be in the factory, who work 9 to 5, sweating out, and some persons will just be in the comfort of their home doing certain tasks, and at the end of the day they earn the same pay. I went under the comment section of that video, and I saw a lot of persons with disability saying if the idea of virtual work is killed, then it's going to affect a lot of persons with disability. But before I bring it down to how it affects persons with disability, or how it benefits persons with disability, let's just have a general conversation about it. Do you think it's an idea that has come to stay? What do you guys think about that?
Of course it has. It's going nowhere anytime soon. So it's not just for persons with disability, even persons without disability. We are in the era where...
No, I'm not even talking of persons with disability.
I'm just saying that it's an all-round thing. Even for persons without disability, it's something that has come to stay. We have virtual meeting almost even on weekends. So I think it's actually a good thing, because some meetings are not necessarily, they necessarily need to be physical. These are things that we can do in our homes and be effective, efficient about it. So why do we need to meet physically?
No, I'm not even talking of meetings now. I just said meetings as an aside, but I'm talking of working from the comfort of your home, virtual work. You're not supposed to come to the office, right?
Yes.
We have people are in Nigeria now working abroad. That's the concept. Yeah.
Yes, very
people
true.
are in Nigeria working for companies abroad. But some people said that it's not a nice concept per se. It has its own pros and cons.
Well, I would say that everything that has benefits would definitely have disadvantages, but personally, I think the benefits outweigh the disadvantages for virtual work.
So yeah, are you saying Elon Musk was wrong or is wrong?
No, I do see his idea, right? It seems unfair, but at the end of the day, that's why there are skilled and unskilled workers, right? Every type of job is different. There are persons who their type of job is intellectual based. They don't really need physical strength or anything, and they can still do whatever they want to do from the comfort of their home. Let's say, for example, writers or people who design pages and websites, you can't blame them because their work is not restricted to an office space.
And they should earn less.
And no,
That's Elon's argument. I mean, you can't be a factory worker. You can't be so. What about people who offer essential services? They have to be at work.
personally, I think it should be measured according to value, right? It's not about if you're coming to the office or not. What value does your input make? What we should be measuring at the end of the day is the output. Let's say somebody helps you design a bank app or a bank website, and that app is what keeps how many people's money safe, and you say he should earn less just because he's not coming to the office.
That's fantastic.
But I think in Nigeria, if that concept comes to stay, a lot of employers will tell you, okay, stay at home, work from home, but you know what? We're going to cut your pay. Since you have to come to work all the time. But I don't think that happens in most developed clients. They don't really view it that way. But I'm scared if it's a concept that will come to stay here in Nigeria or in this part of the world, some persons might say, okay, you're going to work from home, but because sometimes your transport fare is a factor when they are calculating your salary, isn't it?
But incidentally, somebody came to my office yesterday, a physically challenged person, saying that he was supposed to, he was having issue with legs and all that. Applied that he wants to go, wants to work from home. But that was the argument her direct boss was saying, you can't work from home.
Okay, but okay, I mean, since you've already brought that dimension of someone with disability, making an excuse that she would love to work from home because of her disability.
Yeah,
do you think, okay, not necessarily an excuse, but do you think virtual disability is more beneficial for persons with disability?
Yeah, very well. Very, very well. Imagine where in our office where you have to 8 floors and there's no constant light, and you're somebody with
on a wheelchair,
and you are sure that there's not going to be light. You would like to work from home because maybe your office is at the 5th, 6th or 7th floor, and you know to access that office is going to be difficult. So you would like to work from home, and it will be beneficial to you.
All right, just to put it in perspective, Wisdom Esquire is a lawyer and he is visually impaired. And I'd like to ask this question: if you are given an option to come to work or to work at home, which would you go for?
For me, you know, I'm somebody who likes to move around. So I would still like to come to work.
I mean, you still earn the same money, so why would you disturb yourself?
Well, it will create a lot of laziness in me if I'm at home. Seriously.
No, but you'll be working. Why would you be lazy? You'll still be working.
Because no supervision. I will do it at my...
Does virtual work mean you're not supervised? Barbara, is that what it means?
Okay, virtual work doesn't necessarily mean you're not supervised, right? Or it depends on the efficiency of the people who are the head in your office. There are certain ways to supervise people when they are working virtually. You can track. It's just like when people work hourly and they are working from home. There are softwares for that to track how many hours you've worked for and what you've been doing, and you can also make reports at the end of the day to show what you've done.
Okay, so there will be some form of measurement and evaluation.
Yes.
You know, sort of to measure the value of your input, right?
Yes, definitely.
So, would you love to work from home?
Definitely. I won't blink an eye.
But why?
Because I feel for me it's actually more effective, and you have more time to move around, to think, because working in a quiet space, more importantly, because you're in your space, right, in your comfort space, no noise, no distraction. You have a timeline. If it's 1 hour, I know 1 hour I need to get this done. So me, 101% virtual worker. Yeah.
Well, I'm just thinking in my head, would that not subsequently lead to loss of job?
I don't think
I'm
so.
thinking in my head.
I don't think so. Like Barbara mentioned, depends on the outputs and what are my deliverables, right? She mentioned something like web designers and people that have to do with computers, that work with the system and all of that. When you know you have a deadline, you have to meet up. Well, personally, like Barrister Wisdom said, he said for him it would make him lazy. For me, it will make me more active and more efficient and more effective. So it's a personal thing.
But don't you feel isolation? I mean, if you work in a company where you don't interact with your colleagues, you don't see them physically. Probably the interaction is just via your computer and all that. Don't you feel like there will be a sort of social disconnection?
No, I don't think so. There won't be.
But that's one of the disadvantages of virtual work, Barbara.
Not for everybody though.
Well, that is what people argue, that virtual work kills teamwork. But
Yeah.
not necessarily, from my own perspective though, because you could work virtually and you could still collaborate with team. There are a lot of collaboration softwares now. You can use Slack, you can use Microsoft Suite. There are a lot of things. It's just that you're not meeting physically. But sometimes what people do is they create a balance, right? You people are working virtually, but maybe once a month you could still meet as an office in case you feel it's necessary. But what want to say specifically why I think virtual work is beneficial, I'll use the Benin transport system to start with. Let's say you're going to Arosa, right? And you're coming from Saple Road. If you drop at Obolaka, you have to trek. If you don't have a car, you have to trek down to Arosa. If you drop at Ring Road, you definitely have to trek down to Arosa. Now, what that does for workers who do not have cars is that before you get to work, you're already exhausted. Because that trekking is not even voluntary. It's not like you had an option and you didn't take it. There is just no transport between that axis. So you have to. Now, but before you get to work, you're already exhausted. But let's say you're working from home, and especially for some people who have productive hours, and it changes for a lot of people. I myself am more productive in the morning, let's say from 4 a.m. Now, if I'm working from home, I might decide to do that work from 4 a.m. to maybe that morning hours I know is more productive for me.
Yeah.
And then in the afternoon, I do something else. Maybe I cook my food, I do whatever I want to do. I'm in control of my hours. What matters is at the end of the day, I'm delivering what I'm supposed to deliver, and I'm doing it at a more efficient time. Now, if I was in the office, there could be certain distractions. I write, and as a writer, there is always that creative block. And if I'm writing something and someone says a word to me, I could forget every single thing I'm writing. So there is that tendency to be distracted when you are in the office. It might not really be constant, but there is always that tendency.
It just reminded me when I was in school, I hated afternoon classes. Like if you fix the class from 3 or 4 in the evening, I'm gone. Like my brain will not, it won't pick anything from that time again. But I loved classes from 7, 8 in the morning. It's just, my brain is still fresh. I'm still ready to absorb everything. Barrister Wisdom, we talked about virtual work, and like one of the key factor is technology. Let's look at assistive technology now. How can persons with disability leverage that in terms of working virtually?
First, I will even say that virtual work it benefits persons with disability more, because everything you are going to use to achieve that kind of work is technology. And these days, for anybody who is physically challenged and wants to be serious, must have technology at his or her fingertip, because there's hardly anything you do this as a person with disability, most especially a person with visual impairment, who would not need one technology or the other to be able to accomplish the tasks you want to accomplish. It's without a technology, virtual work cannot be possible.
So what that means is that we need to scale up the level of digital literacy for persons with disability, because at the end of the day, this is only possible when you are digitally literate. And if you look at the ratio for persons with disability, a lot of persons with disability are still yet to acquire digital skills. They still need the digital tools to be able to work effectively from home if they are required to so do. So that's another conversation we need to have. We need to bridge that gap for persons with disability, so that like you mentioned, someone on a wheelchair do not necessarily need to bother himself with the issue of mobility, how to go to work, how to navigate to his workplace. But if he can work effectively from home, that would be a plus. I think that also goes for someone with visual impairment, but I know that most visual impaired people They are more out there. They like to be in their workspace and try to socialize and do some other thing. But Barbara, before we came on air, you sent me something and you talked about gap in communication. So even with all the tools at your disposal, there can still be some gap in communication.
Yes, that is very possible. And that is why I say it's all about making sure that everything is put in place. Now, when we talk about gap in communication, let me start with Nigeria because I think that's where we'll have that most problem. You could be working and perhaps MT or Airtel and decides to, how do I explain?
Don't advertise for them, please.
It's not an advert, but we understand the peculiarities of the situation in Nigeria. We might have that issue of NEPA lights. We could have that issue of
Exactly.
network issues. And then you are disconnected from your boss or whoever you are reporting to or whoever that needs work to be delivered. And the problem is not exactly from your fault, but you cannot really communicate that this is what has been done, probably because of certain issues, right? And when we also talk about communication, some people prefer that physical communication. As you are telling me, I want to see what you've done. Although you could also still now you could share your screen with someone to show the person whatever you've worked on, right? But a lot of people still feel like virtual work breaches not breaching now. It creates a gap in communication.
All right, Sarah, I'll ask you a very sensitive question.
Okay.
If you offer a work or a job where you have to come physically and you earn more, and a job where you have to work virtually and earn less, which would you go for?
We all know the answer. Do I need to answer? Of
No,
course.
I mean you've already without the blink of
If I
the
have
blink of an eye, you pick virtual work anytime, any day. So if you are given an offer, this is virtual work, you earn less, but this is a work where you have to be physically present and you earn more.
Yes, I will be physically present. If there are reasons as to why I may take up the offer, it will not mentally drain me. But if it will mentally drain me, if there are some if the work would drain me mentally or any other way,
So
I
it's
may
not
have to
because
decline.
you like
Yes,
it,
not because
it's
I
the
like money. Oh. No, it's
it's
not
the money, it's the economy.
See,
The economy is the factor for you. It's not because you love virtual job. You love the money. So if it's better pay, yeah. So you love. But do you think it's something a lot of corporation needs to encourage? Because I think it's a novel idea to many employers. Some employers still feel if you are not physically at work, you are not doing the job. Even when it's a service you can actually render from the comfort of your home. They just want to see you around. They just want you to be physically present. Do you think it's a concept we most employers need to embrace in Nigeria?
yes, they should, because virtual workspace, it creates a lot of things aside work balance for employees. It also helps for productivity and overall well-being of the employees. So it is important. It's something that we should embrace. We should look at the output, look at the deliverables. If it's what the company wants and deliverables are top notch, then we should go for it.
There seems to be a lot of virtual job or virtual work training. So many of them are on the internet right now telling you they'll train you, you can get job outside the shores of Nigeria. I'm thinking, when are we going to be training people? When are other countries going to train their people and say, look, you can get a job from Nigeria and work virtually?
Wow.
So,
Okay.
yeah, I'm actually wondering, do you think it's a possibility?
I don't really know, but I don't. It could be a possibility, but I don't think we'll be there soon. From
But you
what
might
I'm
be
seeing.
surprised that there are Nigerian firms who are employing people outside the shores of Nigeria.
There are Nigerian firms who are employing people outside the shores of Nigeria, but there are quite few of them. That's just the truth. There are quite few of them because, just like you said, a lot of Nigerian employees are not even comfortable with the idea of virtual work. And you know the funny thing, when they really want to employ people from outside Nigeria, they are actually open to it, especially when they know the input that that person is going to bring. But they become too strict when it's Nigerians because, oh, it's you now, we know you. And it doesn't make sense because some of them employ people outside and they don't bother. You don't even need to come here. You can do the work as long as you deliver. So I think one thing I'm going to say is all about trust. If you have an employee that is working for you physically and you trust what they can do, you know that this person, even without you being there physically, without supervision, that they are still going to deliver. if you can trust them to deliver, why not let them do that work from home? What certain employees do not understand is that if your what certain employers don't understand is that if your employee does not have that work-life balance, if their life is not in order, they cannot really perform well at work. So there needs to be that balance for them to really perform well. If I go through a lot of stress to come to work every day and the work environment is not conducive for me, my productivity will not be that high. But if I'm working from a space that is quite comfortable for me, I'm going to do well. So that's just it.
All right, Brother Wisdom. For someone who is visually impaired, someone who's listening will be wondering, how can you work virtually? What are the tools that you need to work effectively from home? Just let us into some of those assistive technology that you might need.
You have your computer. It's not a special computer. It's a
Regular laptop or
desktop. But what now makes it special is the software that you put in it, and which is the screen reader. So there are so many screen reader that you can put, but among the popular one we have JAWS, job access with speech. You have NVDA, non-visual access, desktop access.
So these are like talkback devices,
yes,
like your Siri in your
yes,
iPhone.
you know,
Yes,
voice over and all that. So that's for that. Then you have braille sense, different type, you know, that you can use to do your work, but it appears in braille. Whatever thing you are doing appears in braille, and you can well connect that device to your computer. It comes out while you are accessing it in braille, and you can equally, if it's somebody without a visual disability can actually be see what you are doing, accessing it in braille. The other person who is not visually impaired can be seeing what you are
in print,
what you are doing in print. You know, so there are a lot of technology,
and this technology, they don't come cheap.
Very expensive.
So what that means is that an employee who wants to employ someone with disability would have to make available this technology.
Yes, sir,
but I think that's where government needs to come in to subsidize. In other clients, these technologies are highly subsidized for their citizens, because if you have to put the burden on the employer to make these tools available, it will discourage a lot of them from employing persons with disability.
One of my colleagues who is visually impaired, who went to UK to study for her master, said before she got there, all this technology we are talking about, they were available. They made it available for her free of cost.
But if you convert that materials in pounds, if you convert it to naira, they are in their millions.
Of course.
There are millions. That braille, whatever you talk.
Braces I'm talking about.
It's about 3,000 to 4,000 pounds.
Yes, 3,000 to 4,000.
And you know what that means in naira? So which employer head you want to put down?
You're talking about 8 million naira for just one.
Just one device.
Well, just one device.
So government needs to come in and subsidize some of this, assistive technology for persons with disability in Nigeria. I mean, what are we asking for? We're just asking for the minimum. The amount of money our government spend on very frivolous things, when there are much more important things they can spend their money on, is alarming. But unfortunately, it's a wrap on the program today, which we had more time to deep in this conversation. But I think we'll do this again, bring it from several perspectives. But don't forget, the program is Hitches and Voices. It came to you courtesy of Network for the Advancement of People with Visible Disability, NAVID. You can follow us on our various social media platform.
You can follow us on Instagram official_NAVID, Facebook NAVID, X at NAVID Nigeria. You can also check us out at www.navid.org. You can also call us on this number 091-3607-3671.
Or visit our secretariat, number 34 Arosa Street, off Sokomba Road, here in Benin City. Barbara, thank you for coming. Thank you for hanging out with me this afternoon.
Thank you too.
No refreshment, Sha. Cheryl, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Kingsley.
Barrister Wisdom, it's a pleasure.
Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you, listeners.
My name is Kingsley Okoje. Till same time next week, spot the hitch.
Be a voice.
If our world is what we make of it, then we know that our choices and decisions are what shape our society. And what we have right now is what we have given, for it's only a mirror of who we are. Sadly, the reflection isn't pretty. Staring back at us from the mirror is a broken world of social injustice, discrimination, and prejudices, especially against people with disabilities. Championing the course to heal this split is a network for the advancement of people with visible disabilities, NAPVID. We have decided to be a voice. You too can. Join Hitches and Voices every Friday at 2 p.m. on Independent Radio 92.3. Hitches and Voices. Spot the hitch. Be a voice.